You're not burnt out. That's just the word you use to make it sound less personal, less your fault. Because burnout feels external, like something happened to you, like you were pushing too hard and now you're tired. But be honest, you weren't pushing that hard, not recently. So why do you feel this drained? Why does everything feel heavy, even the simplest things? It's not exhaustion, it's something else. You lost respect for yourself, and nothing drains you faster than that. It doesn't happen in one big moment. There's no dramatic collapse. It happens quietly. The first time you say, "I'll do it later," and you don't. It feels small, insignificant, but your brain notices. Because every time you make a promise, your brain listens. Not to what you say, to what you do. So when you don't follow through, you send a message. Not consciously, but clearly. I don't mean what I say. And at first, nothing changes. You still feel normal. Still think normally. Still believe you'll figure it out. But then it happens again. Another delay, another excuse, another promise, quietly broken. And again, nothing happens. No punishment, no immediate consequence. That's the dangerous part, because it feels like you got away with it. But you didn't. You just didn't see the cost yet. Respect doesn't disappear instantly. It erodes, slowly, like something being worn down over time, until one day, it's just gone. And you don't even remember when it started. You just feel different. Tasks feel heavier. Focus feels harder. Motivation feels fake. You sit there knowing exactly what you should do, and still, you don't move. Not because you can't, because something inside you doesn't believe you will. That's the shift. It's no longer about effort. It's about trust. And you broke it. So now your brain hesitates. Not out of laziness, out of pattern recognition. Because from its perspective, you don't follow through. Why would this time be different? So it slows you down, creates resistance, makes everything feel harder than it actually is. Not to punish you, to protect consistency, because your identity has already been updated. You're no longer someone who does things. You're someone who plans, thinks, intends, but doesn't execute. And once that identity sets in, everything changes. You start avoiding things you used to handle easily. Simple tasks become delayed decisions. Decisions become stress. Stress becomes avoidance. And now you're stuck in a loop that feels like burnout, but isn't. Because burnout comes from doing too much. This comes from not doing enough for too long. It's the weight of inaction, the pressure of knowing you're capable of more and still not moving. That contradiction is exhausting. You wake up tired, not because you worked hard, because your mind is carrying unfinished versions of you. Every goal you didn't pursue, every promise you didn't keep, every version of you that never got a chance to exist. They don't disappear. They stay in the background, creating pressure, not loud enough to force action, but heavy enough to drain energy. So you call it burnout because it's easier than admitting you stopped respecting your own words. And once that happens, motivation doesn't work anymore. Because motivation relies on belief, and you don't fully believe yourself anymore. You've heard your own voice too many times and watched it do nothing. So now, even when you say, "This time I'm serious," something inside you responds, "No, you're not." Not aggressively, not emotionally, just calmly, like a fact. And that's hard to fight, because it's based on evidence, your own behavior. That's why you feel stuck. Not confused, not lost. Stuck. Because movement requires trust, and you don't have it. So instead, you stay in this middle state, thinking about change, but not creating it. Watching time pass, but not using it. Telling yourself you'll start soon, while knowing you probably won't. That quiet awareness is what drains you. Not work, not effort, self-betrayal. And the worst part, it feels normal now. You've adapted to it, adjusted your expectations, lowered your standards, just enough to stay comfortable. And that comfort is costing you everything, because it keeps you here in the same patterns, the same delays, the same version of you. Nothing breaks, but nothing improves either. And over time, that becomes your reality. Not because it had to, but because you allowed it. One broken promise at a time, until your own voice stopped meaning anything. So now, when you sit there feeling burnt out, it's not exhaustion. It's the weight of knowing you don't trust yourself anymore. And until that changes, nothing else will.